important portion. We start with a very important portion of the Institute, which is the Institute meeting the President and the General Secretary. And this is the so-called question and answer time to the President from the Institute. And we have the privilege, together with the President, to also have the General Secretary, so they can share both the question and the responses. How did we organize this session? Just to give the largest possible participation. Yesterday, the groups have worked, and the groups were divided in 4 languages to allow the maximum participation without any translation. So this to favor the people to speak in their own language. The Rotary coordinators who are here, they've been the observers. They didn't take part in the participation, they only looked at the participation and listened carefully. What they have done is the coordination together with the leading group in each session for the questions to be presented to the President, and they started from 21 questions down to 12, and we have grouped the 12 questions by item so that it is easier for the President to respond on all the questions regarding membership or new generation or partnership and the Rotary Foundation together. So they will first give us a 2 minutes each impression on how the group worked. Then I will announce the subject, and we will ask the representative of the group by language to pose the question, and the President will respond by items, not by question, so that we can take more questions in a shorter time, giving the President a much more flexibility and possibility in his response. I hope you like the approach, but this is what we have decided, and let us see if it works. So let me get started asking individually your very brief, very short impression of your observation of the group. Was it productive? How did the group work? You have any remarks? And this is going to be more useful for the upcoming institutes in other areas or in our areas for the future.
Or it's not okay? It's okay? Ja, jetzt okay. Wir sind die deutschsprachige Gruppe. Wir hatten 3 mal 50 Minuten und das schien uns am Anfang sehr lang. Aber es hat sich dann schnell herausgestellt, es war viel zu kurz, wie immer. Wir hatten eine schöne Mixture von ganz jungen Rotariern aus Deutschland, der Schweiz und Österreich dabei und auch erfahrene PAS-Direktoren. Und wir konnten alle 3 Themen, die Ihnen ja bekannt sind, sehr intensiv und gewinnbringend für die Jungen vor allen Dingen, für die jungen Amtsträger, die ja dann hinausgehen zu den Clubs, konnten wir sehr gut und intensiv diskutieren. Und wir sind froh, dass wir ein paar Fragen an den Präsidenten und an den Generalsekretär in diesem Zusammenhang stellen können.
My name is Nico de Boer, and we had a very interesting group, European group, Hungary, Romania, the Dutch, Croatia, Israel, and Slovakia, and Czechia as well. So interesting. And I must say they were all very committed, they were very active, and they tried to find answers how to adapt to the future. And then, of course, we have questions. And the questions are, in fact, all focused on how do we get and where do we get the means, the tools, how to do it, like trademarking and whatever. So we need some tools, that's what they all said, to answer the future in a very positive way and thus help Rotary to become 206 years old. Thank you.
Buongiorno. Il gruppo di discussione italiano, che ha avuto come moderatori i past governor Marotta, Martinez e Squarcia, che ancora ringrazio, ha visto una partecipazione quanto mai numerosa, 160 i presenti, tutti attenti, anche un governatore spagnolo che è efficacemente intervenuto. I 3 temi sono stati ampiamente dibattuti, affrontate le criticità, i punti forti, i punti deboli. L'attenzione totale è stata presa e l'attivazione nell'esaminare i problemi dei giovani. Il problema dei giovani ha assunto veramente e ha esaurito l'attenzione della platea. I Rotary che deve affrontare sono emerse tecniche e strategie sempre più concrete nel rendere visibile, attraente, necessario dalle nuove generazioni, tutt'altro che indifferenti alle priorità e alle emergenze. È emerso come l'approccio sicuramente diverso con il servizio rotariano da parte di un giovane rispetto al rapporto di un collegamento e di un impatto con un rotariano di lunga militanza. Nel rapporto con i giovani è altresì emerso come siamo molto bravi in teoria ma poco nella pratica. E allora la conclusione è stata quella di non più sottoscrivere protocolli d'intesa, tra virgolette, ma cominciamo invece a sottoscrivere, sempre tra virgolette, contratti, in senso figurato si intende, assumendo obblighi, impegni e responsabilità.
Bois et le coordinateur pour la langue française. C'est donc effectivement une salle très remplie, très bien remplie, de plus de 100 rotariens francophones qui, autour de 3 excellents modérateurs, ont réfléchi sur les grands sujets qui nous étaient proposés. J'ai noté d'abord une très grande participation de tous. D'aucuns parlaient plus, certes, que d'autres, mais tout le monde était tout à fait passionné par le sujet. Ce n'est pas le moment de faire, m'a-t-on dit, une synthèse, mais je veux seulement vous dire que j'ai remarqué à quel point, pour tout le monde, l'avenir du Rotary était une grande et unique préoccupation. Et tout en disant peut-être qu'on pouvait parler beaucoup d'images, mais que nous en étions, nous, d'abord et avant tout, les vecteurs. À nous de montrer ce que nous sommes, à nous d'exiger notre éthique et notre message. Et c'est de cela qui est ressorti. Et en même temps, une chose que j'ai notée aussi, c'est que nos participants à cette réunion voulaient aussi remercier le président et le secrétaire général de bien vouloir répondre à leurs questions. Et c'est une chose qui a vraiment, je crois, beaucoup plu au groupe, de savoir qu'ils pouvaient être si proches, oserais-je le dire, de leur président et de pouvoir lui poser directement certaines questions.
Merci. Merci beaucoup. We start with the first item, membership. And membership has been reported as one of the topics much discussed by the groups. The coordinator has selected one question for the attention of the President, and they selected the question from the German group. So, Rotary Coordinator Pautske, please.
Wir haben im Thema 1 die Weiterentwicklung der Dienstleistungsstruktur, um die Erwartungen der kommenden Generationen zu erfüllen, die Jugend in den Vordergrund gesetzt, und daher richtet sich auch unsere Frage an die möglichen jungen Mitglieder, die uns in unseren Projekten attraktiver gestalten sollen. Die Frage lautet jetzt, warum enthalten die Richtlinien zur ausgeglichenen Mitgliedschaft nicht die Ziele einer ausgeglichenen Altersstruktur und einer laufenden Verjüngung und einer Ausrichtung eher auf das Entwicklungspotenzial von Kandidaten als auf die erreichte berufliche Position?
Thank you for that question. I think membership is so much an issue that is different in different parts of the world. And I think each area tends to look at it differently. In America, North America, which still has 32% of the membership of Rotary, they have huge issues. The membership has been going down. It was 38% a few years ago, 32 today. What it will be tomorrow, we don't know. What we have tried to do this year through our membership initiatives is to consider issues on a regional basis. Each country, each culture, background, where you come from. And that's what even the General Secretary and I were talking about this morning. How do we take it forward? In America, we have got the membership committee, which was not there earlier, has now already met once. They have come up with their recommendations to the board. You will find the board decisions in the minutes portal. And we want to consider it area-wise, where the questions of age, regeneration, orientation, etc. will automatically follow. We want to come up next, and that is something that I'm glad you brought it up, because I would like to suggest that we have an initiative for membership in Europe started as soon as we can. We'll have the General Secretary, we'll have the directors concerned, Elio, Paul, incoming directors coming together with the coordinators. Bring your approaches forward together and let us have different initiatives for different areas. I think that's going to work. Why do I say this? Because you look at Asia today, it's a growing area as far as membership is concerned, except for Japan, which has its own other reason. But look at Korea, look at India, look at anywhere else in most of the parts of Asia, it is growing. And why is it that it is growing over there and it is not happening in other places? And I think it depends on so much on where we come from and where we want to go. I think we need to look at issues differently. That's the way I have been trying to take it forward with the board and the committees so far. I don't know if, John, you would like to add something to what this...
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to follow up on what President Kilian just said, the board did adopt a resolution at the last meeting initiating a process to develop 12 regional membership plans. And each region has been allocated a budget to develop its own regionally specific plan. So I was able to meet with the 6 North American directors during the last board meeting in September, and they have initiated now the North American initiative. And I think, as the President mentioned, going forward, the directors for each of the other regions will now be in the process of formulating their team and working to develop a regional plan. The idea is to have them ready for presentation to the RI board by June of 2012. So we're now in the process of working with the 12 regions around the world to each develop their own regionally specific plans.
Thank you, Elio. We can switch to the second item, the new generation, which had a number of questions, because the group discussed the issue of the new generation extensively, as it has been mentioned, and the Rotary coordinator selected 3 questions, which I'm asking to be put to the President all together, so that the President can respond to the issue of the new generation with one combined response. So I'm asking first Rotary coordinator Nico de Boer, then Rotary coordinator Dominique Dubois, and finally Mario Giannola, to present the question on the new generation. Sorry, not Nico de Boer, but I understand that the question will be posed by Josefa Polakova, working together with Nico in the same group. So Josefa, and then Dominique Dubois, and finally Mario Giannola. Please present your 3 questions so that we can combine in one response.
My question as a representative of English-speaking group from different parts of Europe and Middle Europe and the Netherlands too, as Nico de Boer told you. The question is, are we, Rotary, as a worldwide international organization, listening to the new generation? And if so, what are we learning from young generation?
Any other question? Okay.
Monsieur le Président, le groupe francophone vous demande si le Rotary International envisage d'accorder au club New Generation une aide au niveau de la cotisation au Rotary.
I didn't get.
L'ultima.
Mario.
I didn't get the translation on that.
Oh, you didn't get the translation?
No.
Possiamo verificare la traduzione che non funzionava.
Grazie convene. Sempre in tema di giovani e New Generation, la domanda che è emersa, che è scaturita dal gruppo italiano di discussione è la seguente: perché non dedicare un prossimo institute al tema dei giovani, per conoscere, ma dalla loro viva voce, da coloro anche che non sono coinvolti direttamente nelle nostre associazioni giovanili, per conoscere, ripeto, dalla loro viva voce, problemi, aspettative, proposte.
Again, let me say, very good question. I love it. You know, it's a funny thing. The last council, adopted a new avenue of service, and that was the new generations. And then I went and asked the secretariat in Rotary, what are we doing about it? He said, well, we don't have to do anything. I said, why not? He said, well, I mean, the council only passed a new avenue, that's it. And I said, that's not it. I don't think we need to stop there. We have to move forward with it. And we formed a committee this year. And as I went around, particularly in many parts of Europe, I must say, there was a great deal of interest and enthusiasm about the new generation. And people kept on asking me, what are we doing? What are we doing? We have recently formed a committee. This year only, the committee recently met. It has come up with its recommendations, and you will be again hearing about the board action on those recommendations in the board portal of the decisions when you open it up. So we are taking the issue of the new generations forward. At the Bangkok Convention, there will be a special breakout on new generations. There will be a special booth on the new generations. And I hope that the Institute program at Bangkok will certainly have focus on the new generations. Your next institute is for you to take up with the director, to take it up, but certainly I'd recommend it anywhere. We are going to have 2 other international events on the youth. One will be sometime in Cairo, because that's an area we wanted to involve together with the youth, and another location still to be decided, but both will be around the same areas, meaning both will be around Europe. And so this is what we are trying to take it forward with at the present time. in the board. You asked about whether a discount in the fees. Well, it's an excellent idea, but it's something that you will have to immediately propose to the council, because it's only the council that can take that decision as far as the structure of the fees are concerned. You still have time till December this year, so come up with a proposal to the council, and I think the council will be happy to consider that. I might add that about a year and a half ago, Rotary International had got a survey done as to how we can involve more youth in our clubs, in our communities. And a group that had been consulted was a group from the Northwestern University, which is one of, as you know, one of America's best universities, located right in the neighborhood in Evanston. And one of the suggestions that they had made was having different fee structures. You come in at a certain age, maybe up to the age of 30 with a different fee structure, from 30 to maybe 45, another one, 45 onwards, go on to 60, 65, and then again perhaps go down. I don't know whether it's going to happen, but there is a proposal. Perhaps the board will take it up later on. Again, it's got something to that needs to go through the council. Are we listening to the new generation? Believe me, we are trying whatever we can. And for the first time, we have not only a new generations group, but, we have had membership groups in the past. So this year also we have a membership group. We have a new generations group. We have a communications group. And we are trying to bring them all together for the first time, because all of them are interrelated. We have, the Rotary board has been considering the question of social network, whether Rotary should have its own social network. We have had already one meeting involving the new generation. I've had excellent participation from the Spanish new generation over there. We took it forward. It was discussed to some extent at the convention. There were some concerns expressed. We have tried to address those concerns, taking it forward, not very quickly, because people mentioned various concerns as to what may not work the way that we want it to work. The board is going to meet it again in November. Not the board, the committee is going to meet again in November with the comments and the inputs that we have now received on social network. And the January board meeting in San Diego will hopefully be able to take a decision on how to go forward with our social network. One of the proposals was initially we connect perhaps with one of the standard networks like Facebook. Have a portion separately dedicated purely for Rotary, with separate connectivity. Not that everyone will be able to access it, but there will be a portion which will be available to everyone in the whole world. And then with certain other passwords, you come into a section which is available to those who are more interested, and then further on to a third section which will be available only to Rotarians who are connecting for projects and so on, and different activities. These are some of the thought processes that are in progress, and I hope they will meet with your approval as we go along. We'll keep you informed. If anyone on the panel would like to add anything, I'll be very happy to.
I would like to say something about young people in Rotary, also based on my experience as a membership coordinator in this part of the world. About the former subject of organizing 12 or 14 groups in the world and talking about membership, I am in zone 13, where we have 5 Rotary languages in the Netherlands and in Portugal and in Spain and in Switzerland, where it's very difficult to get together and to talk about membership on the same level, because the problem is everywhere different. That's one. Another thing is about young people. I think we have to listen very well to people like Lutz Reimer yesterday. And we had on the convention, we had young people also with experiences becoming a member in a new club. In my country, I know that new clubs, young new clubs, have no problems to attract young people in their clubs. Only the old existing clubs that have failed to renew their membership every year. I always tell a club of 50 members should gain 4 new members only to keep the numbers per year. And when you forget it for 3 years, you have to gain 10 or 12 members, and then you see the impossibility, and then already you have lost contact with the younger generation. So we have to be very careful, and maybe a solution for young members in Rotary will be that we start new clubs in the neighborhood of dying old clubs that failed to get young members.
Are we learning, are we listening to the new generation? And if so, what are we learning? I think we have begun to listen to the new generations. And what are we learning? We are learning to listen carefully. We are learning to listen more. I think, from what I've been saying, my friends, you realize that new generations are absolutely topmost on our priority list today. And so there you are. What are we learning? We need to change. We need to go from perhaps go from grey to green. I don't know. We'll all have to decide together. But these are the things that we are trying to learn. We are learning to change as we continue. And I think that's the most important lesson that we are learning. What else should we learn? I don't know. If Director Elio will allow you, I'll be happy to hear any more inputs on this.
Well, what you certainly have to address, and this is our responsibility, is, as it was mentioned yesterday in the panel, our personal attitude. We must not be afraid of new generation, because they will come, they are there. And if you are afraid and we take them out of the door, one day or the other they will come in, and they will do whatever they have in mind, and we would not have had the time to talk to them, compare with them, discuss with them, and elaborate a plan for transition with them. We should not be afraid of the new generation, because they are our sons. They are our future. So our attitude, as we have discussed frequently in the board, is let us encourage our club to be open. Let us encourage our club to try to have new young members in their club and have the courage to listen to them and tell them, we have had our experience, now it is time for you to add something new, and we are ready to cooperate. We want to be the base. We want to be your tutor. We want to be your mentor. Tell us how we can grow in Rotary with what you recommend, a change attitude from within.
Thank you.
There is a third area which has also been debated extensively in the group discussion yesterday, and this is, I would say, probably strongly recommended by the impressive presentation of past President Jai on the future of philanthropy, and it focuses on partnership, who are going to be our partners in service, and how can we select them, and partnership and the Rotary Foundation connection. So there are 3 questions, again, one from the Italian group, one from the French group, and one from the all other group, Nico, Josefa. So we start with Mario on this issue on partnership and the Rotary Foundation, and then Dominique, and then Josefa.
Anche questo tema è stato ampiamente dibattuto nella discussione del gruppo italiano ed è emerso il desiderio, l'intendimento di coinvolgere maggiormente le pubbliche amministrazioni e le istituzioni locali. Il Rotary si apre alle istituzioni, si apre alle pubbliche amministrazioni, promuove la Rotary Foundation, ma non ottiene quel ritorno che tutti ci aspetteremmo. La domanda quindi, anche questa che noi poniamo al board, al nostro presidente, come può interagire in Rotary con le pubbliche amministrazioni e le istituzioni locali?
Ce sujet a particulièrement animé notre groupe de réflexion et il en est ressorti qu'il y avait peut-être deux sortes de partenaires. Les partenaires, certes, internationaux, mais également les partenaires locaux. Mais la question est la même. Et Monsieur le Président, le groupe francophone vous demande quels sont les critères exigés par le Rotary International pour qu'il considère qu'une organisation comme l'un de ses partenaires.
It's okay. The question in English-speaking group is, how will the Future Vision Plan help us, Rotarian clubs, districts, to limit the risks in dealing with partners?
Thank you. Good questions, all of them. And, let me ask Secretary John to try and answer to them, and I'll come back to them later on, okay?
Thank you, Mr. President. Those are, I think, extremely important questions because they go, I think, to the heart of the Foundation's ability to operate successfully going forward and to allow our organization to continue to do great works around the world, particularly once the funding for polio, once we eradicate polio and the funding for polio dries up. For me, strategic partnerships, partnering with other organizations so that 1 + 1 = 3 is absolutely critical for our future. We've seen how successful our partnership with the Gates Foundation was, where they needed us and we needed them. We needed their money, they needed our fundraising ability and our advocacy and our volunteer efforts. And so for me, that is the future of for the Foundation, is partnering with other organizations so that 1 + 1 = 3. Now, why, in my opinion, is future vision, to answer the third question next, critical to achieving that objective of finding strategic partners where, again, the 1 + 1 = 3. The philosophical underpinning of future vision is in the global grants part of the equation, to focus us on 6 areas of focus and to do projects that are larger and have greater impact and are sustainable, and where we can measure the results of what we're doing. Now, why is that an important element of attracting serious partnerships going forward? Because in the world of international humanitarian assistance and development assistance, the funding sources, the people who have the money, have hundreds of organizations that they can deal with. And if we go to them and say, please give us your money so that we can do good in the world, they're going to ask us some very basic questions. How are we sure that what you're going to do will be successful? What results are you going to achieve if you give us your money? What mechanism do you have in place to ensure that the projects that we're financing with you are sustainable, lead to impact, respond to the needs of the people who we're trying to help? So I think if we're successful in future vision and we're successful in achieving the philosophical and operational goals that it's intended to achieve, that will help us greatly in attracting serious strategic partners, because they will see in Rotary an organization that has a fantastic track record, but also through future vision is moving into a new and bold future with respect to how it handles a portion of its projects and programs. And Mr. President, if you'd like to add something to that.
One part of the questions asks, how can Rotary co-work with local public administrations and institutions? And the one example that I can give is that in India, in cities, in corporations, the corporators, the councillors, they are members of Rotary clubs. They're invited, they're proud, they're happy. I've been seeing a little bit of that here in Italy as well. When I went in Rome, and I understand, we met the speaker. I guess he was a former Rotarian. Probably doesn't have the time today, but that's a good way to go. Involve them in Rotary. Sometimes we hesitate to ask them to become members. I don't know why that is so. We may ask them to be just coming in as honorary members. No, I'd say let's ask them for full time. Rotary is increasingly beginning to look at engagement of the members rather than mere attendance only, as we have in the past. Okay, so if you are engaged in the work of your club and the activities that it does, and that's what is going to count in the days ahead. That's the way I think Rotary is going to move forward. So that is, and the criteria requested by RI in order to consider an organization as partner, frankly, I think we still have to develop the criteria. We are finding our way along. We have started partnering with different organizations, the Gates Foundation. We have been, WHO has been a partner for a long time. UNICEF has been a partner for a long time. The Aga Khan Foundation has now become a new partner. Different partners, different circumstances, different areas of activities. I think the criteria will develop as we go along. The important thing is that we are willing to go that way. We are willing to take in partnerships, and we are willing to change and get in different partners to make, as he says, 1 and 1 make 3.
And I think one area where I think as an organization we need to think more carefully about and be much more aggressive, and that is with corporations and the private sector. The amount of money that's available now in the private sector is enormous, and I think as an organization we've not done probably as good a job as we could of engaging the corporate sector and the private sector around the world, partnering to do good. So I think that is an area that we need to give some more serious thought to.
May I, Mr. President?
Go ahead.
Thank you very much, the General Secretary, for having touched this issue of corporation, because names like Tiffany certainly deserve to be explored, because they are trying to give a meaning on what they defined as social responsibility, and they thank us because we give them a help in orienting where the social responsibility is and how they should react to this push of the social responsibility in the appropriate way. Exactly as it was said yesterday, with good ideas, good hand at work, professionality and transparency. But also what appeared in the presentation from yesterday in terms of partnership, we should not only be concerned of a very strong partner, big names, we should also look at the other side of what past President Louis Jai defined a massive cooperation. I think that this is another open window for us, and we have to consider how to get to that. And he gave the criteria. Must be big, open, useful, rapid, accessible, free of charge. Now, these are all messages that our clubs are eager to listen and to share, because these are exactly the way our club are evaluating our foundation. They want a foundation, or they want a partner in their project to have all these qualifications. So if we have these qualifications and we use them internally, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able, or we should not become able, to project this quality outside and to use this quality as a push to qualify Rotary worldwide in the best possible way. Then the second comment that came out yesterday was the person-to-person type of cooperation, the cooperation online. I'm there with my project, I open up my page, and I'm ready to accept anyone, the single individual, with 10 euros, 100 euros, 1,000 euros, who is ready to share with me not only the risk, but the passion for that project. And I think that this is also another way to qualify our image and to give Rotary, projected to the outside world, a very, very good push, exactly in line with what we are trying to get in this second centennial of the Rotary life, is the added value of money, as Past President Jai defined it. So I think that when we're talking partnership, we should have the recommendation for the club to be careful in selecting, make the recommendation, find a way to assist them in making the selection and the appropriate commitment and engagement, but also look at new ways to open up that will probably not be ready now, but they can certainly be ready in 3, 4, 5 years from now.
Just a small comment. We were in the West Indies recently, and there the Rotaractors have put in at the airports over there little transparent boxes saying Rotary and Rotaract working for polio eradication in the world. Will you support us? And every day, at the end of the day, they come and collect full boxes of contributions from all the passengers going through. Just a little input for you.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have another area, which is the area of administration, in which they had several comments, more than questions, and the group of the Rotary coordinators selected one to allow, probably in terms of sequence, the General Secretary to respond first, and then to add any other comment. And I will ask Rotary Coordinator Pautske to present the question on Rotary administration that the German-speaking group has elaborated.
Vielen Dank. Unsere Frage zu dem vorherigen Thema hatte sich eigentlich an die Verwaltung gerichtet im Zusammenhang mit dem Suchen von Partnern. Wir haben ja darüber gehört, welche Probleme sich dort bilden, und deswegen haben wir die Frage gestellt, ist die Verwaltung bereit, den Clubs ein Handbuch, auf Englisch ein Manual of Best Practice, zur Verfügung zu stellen, damit die Clubs eine besondere Beurteilung für potenzieller Servicepartner bekommen können. Wir haben ja die Action Groups wie Water and Sanitary Action Group und RFPD, diese 15 Action Groups, mit denen wir zuverlässig zusammenarbeiten können. Aber die Frage ist, könnten wir so ein Manual of Best Practice bekommen, wo sich die Clubs orientieren können, mit welchen Partnern und worauf sie zu achten haben?
General Secretary.
President throws all the hard questions to me. Thank you. I think that is a very good idea. We do not, from what again, I'm still going through my listening tour, and I may be wrong, but I'm not aware of of a manual of that sort. But as the President mentioned, the board and the trustees are in the process of developing and finalizing criteria for selecting partners for the foundation and for Rotary globally. And I think once those guidelines and criteria are established, then I think at that point it is a very good idea to put together something for the clubs to use as they go forth to find partners. Because as the President mentioned, the question that I got was to what the foundation can do on partners. But I think the concept of partnership needs to filter all the way down to the club level, because that's where the action is, really at the club level. And so we can have a global partnership through Evanston, that's fine, but where we really can get the 1 + 1 = 7, if we really want to leverage, is at the club level. And so I very much support the idea of giving as much assistance as we reasonably can to the clubs so that the clubs can begin establishing their own strategic partnerships with local corporations, local foundations, local entities, because that's really where we have the foot soldiers of Rotary, obviously, at the club level. And I think we owe it to our membership to give them the best tools possible to develop these relationships at all levels.
Just one comment. You know, this is still an unexplored territory. And as Director Elio mentioned, he was looking at, you know, issues with Mont Blanc over here, for example, Tiffany's. And we were discussing coming here on the train whether this could go forward strongly. And we said, yes, let's try it out. Let's see how it goes. We are willing to try. We are willing to, you know, make changes. So please come up with your thoughts and ideas and inputs, and let's, you know, go ahead with them. This is a time when the board is willing to change as we develop the process to go forward. Because in the past, as an organization, we haven't been partnering other organizations. We have stayed separate. We have stayed apart. Now the whole perspective is beginning to change. Which way do we go? Inputs need to come from you, my friends.
May I? I would like to address another side issue, which I think, as for what I heard in the timing of your brief appearance in your group, I sensed. When you speak of best practice manual, I think you also intend not only guidelines to select partners or to create projects, but rather our regular behavior, administrative and functional behavior in our clubs and in our organization, which has a lot to relate to the governance issues of Rotary. Am I correct, Rotary Coordinator Klaus? What we started last year, and my colleague in the board, past Director Pandal, will certainly remember, we asked a full revision of the Rotary Code of Policy. Because whatever is the result of the rules of governance in Rotary is included in the Rotary Code of Policy. This is our Bible. And whatever we have to do, it's written there, and how we have to do it, and the purpose for doing it. Now, what we have discovered, and we have discussed it last year, and I'm glad that President Kalyan is continuing the discussion this year, is that in the Rotary Code of Policy, we have a kind of mix-up situation. We do not distinguish between what is a policy and what is a procedure. Because the policy is the guideline, and this should be dictated from the governing body that in Rotary International is the board of directors. There's no other issues in Rotary International capable with the authority to establish the line of the rules. It is the board of directors. How we implement it and the different capability of application for the same rule in the different part of the world. It really depends on our policies and our flexibility to make the policy not only acceptable, but the policy digested at local level, to make it a promotional tool to make things happen in the right way, what you call best practice. Now, this is going to be a very difficult exercise, because it starts with, first, the translation of the Rotary Code of Policy,